The iRacing Radical E-Cup then roars into its second week of 12, and it heads to a place that is known at this moment in time as one of the greatest racing circuits that the world has ever produced. We head to a circuit that has seen it all, that has done it all, that has battled it all, and has produced some of the greatest racing moments, racing lines, heritage, history, folklore, you name it. Welcome to Suzuka, the ultimate racing circuit in the world, and welcome here to RaceSpotTV's coverage, brought to you on RaceSpotTV and on iRacing. My name's Jake Sperry. JR Gregory is along with me for today's action, and JR, what a circuit this one is. It is one of the only few figure eight circuits in the world of motorsport, and figure eight circuits have a very good track record.
Yeah, such a fantastic combination, the Radical SR10 and the Suzuka circuit. It is absolutely outstanding, highlighting all the strengths of this car. Plenty of power, a lot of mechanical grip, downforce where it's needed. And as we're watching lap underway here, we're about to go into 130R, and we're going to be going through that, Jake, flat all day long.
And they will know that their championship has a lot of different styles of circuits. Sonoma and Spa are on the horizon. You look over to some tighter circuits like Brands Hatch and the Hungaroring. The WeatherTech Raceway at Laguna Seca comes to mind. You've got the Nordschleife, which will be a huge challenge for all of these drivers. And then the Adelaide Street Circuit to end the season out. Couldn't be more of a chalk and cheese finale to this season too. But pick up the points as you intend to go on with it and pick up the opportunities. After the opening week, it's James Barry who walks into today as the strongest driver on 364. George Gonzaga is alongside him then in second, with Kjetil Larsen in third and Heinz Braun fourth. You've then got Peter Avani fifth, your winner from the round one, Andre Castro, who hasn't taken a race here in this second week. Then you've got Horvath Gulliksen there in seventh, and then the second of George Gonzaga's accounts there in eighth, Sebastian Lipp ninth, and Bruno Vittorino. They're rounding out your top 10 as far as the championship standings go. So they will set themselves off into racing. 8 minutes, they have on the clock. 2 laps to go and set a time. Peter Avani, the Slovakian, currently the fastest of the lot on a 153.9, but your top 4 split by less than a tenth of a second at the moment, as we focus with Felix Chamoz here, the Portuguese driver, working through out of Degner 2 and up to the Nissan brake hairpin.
Yeah, and, those splits really show the quality of the competition that we enjoy here at our 2100 GMT broadcast. Look at that bracket. The top 10, only 1 second, separating those cars on a pretty long lap here at Suzuka. And Jake, Suzuka is a classic track, one of those tracks that we all have a lot of laps on. So to set yourself apart here, you've got to be digging for those tenths, hundredths, and 1,000ths of a second. And this is what these drivers are facing right now.
Yeah, they've got to really claw and get as much as they can out there. It is cloudy out there on circuit, 19 degrees, the track temperature. It is icy cold. It is massive dog walking potential today rather than egg frying, as Felix Chamoz is now looking into the Aston chicane. Massive kicker tail through the middle. That's going to scrub the speed then. Down the hill through the final corner, Jack Veazey goes fifth. Gail Valero goes fastest then, the Blue Mercure driver. And so for the moment, Chamoz, a 54.3, only good enough for 8th at the moment. Paki Caruso going quicker than is the Italian. Here is the Uruguayan, Rafa Blanco, looking to try and get out of the 10th position and up a couple positions more. Here's the drive then towards the line, and that is going to be a 54.2, good enough for 8th.
Yeah, and you saw contrast there between Blanco and Samoas there. The critical nature of that final chicane heading onto the pit straight. It's a low-speed corner. You're kind of flirting with the curbs, making a decision whether to bang over them or not. And very, very minor mistakes there can take huge chunks of time. If you get a bad exit there, easily a half a second can be lost down that pit straight. And that is going to be a critical spot in this race here this afternoon.
Yeah, this is going to be all about who manages what, as here is Ole Gulliksen looking to try and make the push towards the line, and and hopefully improve on a 55.3. The lap won't count, and so Gullikson is going to be stuck on the final row of the grid, which is currently there with Chris Wetz at this moment in time. George Gonzaga out of laps as well. He's gone 9th fastest here with his attempt. So that's the field sorted with half a minute left in qualifying. So an easy time of things for car number 1. Jumping in on what you'd feel out there for Gale is a one-off, and really proving that there is pace and there is certainly a lot of it to go and manage out there at this point. So you look over at how this field is going to stack. 13 laps here today at Suzuka. It'll be enough to really challenge if you can stay in range of the cars in front. But it is the Frenchman formerly of Apex Racing Team, a team that no longer functions in the world of sim racing, who is on pole for this one. Gale Valero with a 153.412. Alongside for company is Peter Avagny with James Barry and Sebastian Lipp, the two inner cars, 3rd and 4th. Jack Veazey will have Kjetil Larsen there in 6th position, with Rudolf Nagel in 7th for Sim RC, and CRT's Paki Caruso going from 8th. You've then got George Gonzaga 9th, and Rafa Blanco rounding out your top 10 with Felix Samozand Miron Yanni there in 11th and 12th positions. On row 7, you've got Ryan Otto and Heinz Braun, as Ole Gullikson there. Ole Henrik Gullikson is 15th, and rounding out the field is Chris Wetz in 16th position. Downhill run to turn number 1, and it is often worth noting that the car on the inside has a slight disadvantage by being on the dirty side of the circuit compared to the clean rubbered up line that you see on the left hand side of this Suzuka circuit, which has now in recent years been owned by the Honda Group. Now, in terms of what they have, the same company that owns the likes of Motegi at this moment in time. We just await for Gale Valero to get his setup happy as he wants it, as we also note Ryan Otto onto the grid. They have 2 minutes to grid up, and we now currently sit with 35 seconds remaining, but with all 16 on the grid, it is now time to get ourselves ready. 13 laps ready to start here at Suzuka. Lights are on, lights are out, and we are underway. Slow start by Valero, and that's going to open up the chance. Avagny's going to be attacked by James Barry here into turn 1. Sebastian Lipp trying to look to the inside, and he's not going to quite get it. Avagny through the second curve, gets there. One car sliding in the background. That's going to be Ryan Otto sliding about and just about avoids trouble, but we are clean aside from that. Kjetil Larsen attacking then up through the S-curves and over towards the Gyaku bank.
Yeah, and Valero swamped off the start right there after dominating qualifying with a 0.2 of a second gap over P2, and he can't get that car off the line. You mentioned this could be a one-off race for him, and these cars, 450 turbocharged horsepower and no traction control, can be tough to get moving on cold tires, and you saw Valero struggling there.
Yeah, Valero struggling then on the early laps. We've got Rudolf Nagel now, the Austrian, trying to get by Caruso. A little bit of lean against each other up into what is colloquially known as Kobayashi corner. That's why there's a bit of contact back there, as well as Felix Samozis the one who runs out. Myron Yanni is the one who ends up there, and Heinz Braun has a perfect view of this, and he's going to try and thread the needle. Is he? No. Wisely backs out, heading to Spoon. He has to get all out of shape, trying to avoid contact there. That was as much avoidance. He stamped on the brakes harder than the anthill mob could.
Yeah, that was crazy. Braun, I had my eye on him for the hard charger. Didn't qualify particularly well, but Braun has a lot of pace out here, very aggressive. So I'm actually still only lap 1, keeping an eye on Heinz Braun to put some of these cars behind him, and he's likely to do it in a hurry while traffic is heavy and the cars are packed together tightly.
One lap then's going to be scored complete. It is Peter Avagny in the lead. We'll take a driver's eye perspective here with Sebastian Lipp. This is the view that you could have when you're out there driving on iRacing, and there is so much great sim racing on iRacing coming up, including the iRacing Sebring 12, which is coming up tomorrow. So for the moment, you now start sitting back and saying, if you're in this Radical SR10 that Sebastian Lipp is, you've got to deal with a car that is very, very light for the power that it holds in terms of its brake horsepower per ton. it sits at about 600.
Yeah, crazy stuff. These cars fully 1,000 pounds lighter than the popular MX-5 Cup race car with 450 horse. They are absolutely a handful. And boy, looking back at Valero now, this track has a lot of drafting that's going to take place. These cars are going to get sucked together, and Valero needs to watch that gap ahead to lip, or he's going to be in trouble if those top three cars get away. Valero's going to be on an island and will miss his opportunity to convert his pole position into a victory. As you say, Caruso getting a little friendly there with Kjell Larsen.
Yeah, Kjell Larsen is not going to be best pleased with Paki Caruso just missing out his braking zone there, and suddenly Rudolf Nagel for Sim RC is right into the picture, and he's going to want to get himself involved at Spoon. It's off camber through here, and you've got to be careful putting the power down out of Spoon. It's very easy to light up the rears and see yourself spinning to the inside through this section, along the west straight, up and over the top, taking this climb, and you never notice that there's a bridge here heading to 130R, but it is the most committed corner on the lap. They are flat at 240 kilometers an hour. Caruso going a mile wide there as they set through, and they're also trying to stay in the trains, the cars in front, everybody diving through. This is Jorge Gonzaga's view of it, then the Portuguese driver. He's stuck in a sandwich right now with Nagel in front and Rafa Blanco behind us for the race lead. Here come the inert train looking to make through. Barry to the inside, Avani on the outside, and Avani I think is going to have to yield with it as there's more too wide in the middle.
Wow, and you see those teammates working together there as Barry taking advantage of the slipstream, shooting through the inside of Ivani.
Oh, no.
Great, respectful driving, and here comes a big one in the back. Is that Odo involved again? Odo, very, very fast driver we see in the Radical Americas Championship. We'll see them on Sunday, but Odo, very, very fast in that field, but struggling today.
Yeah, I think he's been rattled by his turn one issue because he really pinched down on Heinz Braun, took away all his track, and that's why he ended up around. He was stuck on the outside with a bit of contact, and that's why we've seen the change at the moment. It's four, I would say, at this moment in time, JR, 4.5 cars in this front train. At 1.1 seconds is Jack Veazey. He's not there, but he's also not there.
Yeah, Veazey sniffing around back there at the cars in front of him, start fighting as we take a look at Ivani turning in a little bit on Heinz Braun right there, and oof, you know, it's outside my pay grade to make a call on that one. Probably a racing incident there, though, but we do know, and Odo well knows, that Braun quite aggressive. If he sees a sliver of light, that SR10 is going to get stuffed down there. And here we are with Sebastian Lip from Ivani, from James Barry up front, heading into 130R. And look at the velocity. A little dip on the grass on the right side to widen the entry, and we are floored through there off onto the AstroTurf. That is risky, but you have to do it on every lap if you want to run at the pointy end of this field.
265 kilometers an hour they reach through that section in a car like this, a track car like this. That is a staggering speed. Already James Barry, look at him, he's trying to shake off the tail here of Avani and Lip. Lip's going to go to the inside here, and is this going to be roles pretty much reprised going in through 2 straight laps? Knows the answer to the outside of Kjell Larsen, as now here goes Paki Caruso, who decides, you know what, it wasn't enough I ran up the back, I'm going to give you a little bit of a paint scrape as I go by. So Caruso getting right up friendly, making the pass as well as Jorge Gonzaga, who's made great progress.
Yeah, Caruso getting his work done out there. Another driver who is not shy. He will finish most races with paint chips from a couple of his competitors. That'll put him up 2. And look at Jorge Gonzaga, who's sitting in P6 right now, having climbed up 3. Gonzaga, our hard charger right now. Vetz as well up 3.
Yeah, so Chris Vetz is doing a very good job at the moment, jumping up the order and saying, look, I can get myself a couple places, but it has been respectful at the front of this field as they stand. Blanco is the one there, fourth in the train. Just jumping out of line a little bit, looking to try and chase down Kjell Larsen for that position, and it wasn't quite there as it tried to work on through. So Larsen holding his ground right now, but knowing that there is still a long way to go in this race. And we talk about these cars and this style of racing being pack mentality out there. It's like racing a Talladega, for example. You have to think about how you're going to win your race or win your positions, rather than just going for the move and going, ha-ha, I'm through.
Yeah, and if you haven't driven one of these cars, the slipstream is almost comically powerful. It feels like you've got a rubber band attaching you to the car in front. If you've got DRS, push to pass, something along those lines, as those gaps close so rapidly on the faster stuff, as we're going to see here from Blanco. But I've spoken to some real-life radical drivers and asked them if that is exaggerated, and they have told me that that is how these SR10s behave on track as well. Massive slipstream now, running along with Blanco coming off of that pit straight. Blanco's looking ahead at that fight between Larson and Caruso Gonzaga there as well. And Blanco with a popcorn seat in the perfect position to pounce if things go sideways between these three.
A lovely view driving through the S's of 3 and 4 into turn 5 and then the Gyaku bank, turn 6, which means the reverse bank corner, or off camber as we like to call it. Now into the Nippo corner of turn 7. You're just trying to get as close to the curb as you can without touching it, because Rafa Blanco will run wide there by just having that understeer that comes along from just losing the surface of the left-hand side tyres. That right hook of Degner 1 into Degner 2, which softens up. And then as you go through the corner and up the hill over towards the Nissan brake hairpin, this is a half chance for many of the drivers out there, but you're looking to set up the run off the exit because you've got a big long drive for Spoon behind them. Rudolf Nagel with a half spin. That takes Myron Ianni off the back of the train.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, Blanco right there had a pretty good view of Larson showing his nose to Caruso on the inside of Degner. Pass completely doable there. Great place to catch your competitor off guard. Would love to see it sometime in the last 8 laps of this one. So we'll keep an eye on Degner for you.
It's going to be around the outside of 130R for the race lead. What a pass by Peter Avagni. He's got the move sorted, but here's the caveat. You can get the move done around the outside of 130R. You're leaving yourself vulnerable here. It's brought back Gail Valero, and look at the drive then through. Just completely out of shape is Avagni, and now it seems like the inert train will be 3 wide, because here comes Sebastian Lipp to go to the inside, pulls to the outside. Instead he was going to try and go through the middle, but James Barry is not leaving any stone unturned.
Oh, and Ivani still hanging tough there, though. Oh, and a little touch. Ivani wanted to follow Barry through there.
There he goes.
And there he goes. He is around. And my, oh my, Ivani was flogging that car. You saw that huge move, the outside of 130R, heated up those tires. He was terrible through the chicane coming on to the back straight. His tires failing him right there. And Valero now with a 1.2-second gap up to Lipp. He needs to close that down here, Jake. He needs to close it down quickly, or those teammates are going to drive off.
At 130R, Peter Avagni led this race. By the time he reaches the Degners, he's down in 13th position. It shows you how tough it is when you make a mistake out there. Car was fully loaded here, so he has the initial contact. He follows Sebastian Lipp close, and then he makes contact in the rear. Car unloads as he's stuck in underneath there, JR, and then it just forces that spin. We see it quite often, more often than you think.
Yeah, just a tiny little bump is enough to get these things upset. They are really on the absolute ragged edge. If you have not driven one of these SR10s, shame on you. Go ahead and grab one. And a reminder, this is the top split of the public server, 2100 GMT, as we show every Friday. So you can get out here, appear on RaceSpot and on the iRacing YouTube channel with some of the best drivers in the world. And you're seeing it right now as Barry leads Lipp through Degner for the 6th time.
Yeah, the pure white machine behind there of Gail Valero is keeping himself then honest at this stage, but slipstream is the key of the game. At about 1.5 seconds, you start to feel the rubber band snap, and that's what they're going to be looking at here. But it's very clear to me at the moment, you look at James Barry and Sebastian Lipp, they sit down, and as far as teammates go, they have free license to go and race. I don't care if you're my teammate. Right now, this official race is about me versus you, as we've just ticked over onto lap 7. Ryan Otto to the inside then, getting the pass done on Ole Gulliksen.
Yeah, Odo just trying to make lemonade out of the lemons that the first handful of laps have served him up, and that will put Odo back to his original qualifying position of unlucky 13 here for Ryan. And I know that this is not how he wanted this one to go. He's capable of much, much better, but sometimes you get the elevator, Jake, and sometimes you get the shaft.
Yeah, sometimes you find yourself going all the way down and you'll need to take your dumbwaiter to get back up to the top. So, at least at this point, Rafa Blanco is holding himself steady. Look at the drive off the exit there from Paki Caruso. It's clear with the way he's angling the car right now. He's prioritising exit. Sebastian Lip tries Spoon as an option. I wasn't expecting a move like that this early in the race. It's lap 7 of 13. That's your half chance. You're just going to allow Gael Valero in.
Yeah, I'm very surprised by that, actually. Plenty of race left, as you said. Lip tries a very dubious move to the outside of Spoon, compromising the lines of both of those cars. That's letting Valero right back into the draft train. You see that gap has dropped down to 0.6 now from Valero up to Lip. So Valero right back in it, swamped off at the start, running in P4 for a while, now in P3. And Valero right now, with 6 remaining, in position to grab that top spot on the podium.
Well, Sebastian Lip and James Barry are two of the best radical drivers in the world. Gael Valero is one of the best drivers in the world as far as this goes. Now, car spun at the final corner is Erle Gullikson, so he's going to drop back. In fact, he's just missed the chicane, so he's now dead last with a missed chicane. It's not often that you see it at Astamo, but that one hurting. Heinz Braun through on Chris Vett, so that's another change of position that's gone through. But 1, 2 and 3, they sit at the front of this pack. And I think they just need to look at each other here, to James and Sebastian, and go, right, we can have some calm, we can have our battle for the win, but we can't battle right now.
Yeah, I would definitely try to create some space and save that all for later. But you know what? At this point, it's too late, because look at Valero. He is right there. That gap from Valero up to Sebastian Lip, 4/10 right now, and some more interesting fighting there through the old Kobayashi hairpin. Barry is going to be trying to fight off Lip. Barry's going to move over to cover the entry to Spoon. Will Sebastian try the outside again as Valero? This is exactly what he wants to see, Jake.
Exactly, especially for a driver who doesn't normally drive this Radical SR10. The one thing he needs is laps under his belt, because if he puts laps in, he'll gain confidence.
Yeah, too right. And here we go. It's Barry from Lip, from Valero into 130R. Watch him dip a tire into the grass, open up this entry flat through here, and then one of the most difficult braking areas right here under the Advan Bridge into the chicane. And look at Valero's confidence on the brakes. Brakes very tough on these cars. A lot of aero. You get a bleed brake pressure as you lose speed and lose downforce. And Valero learning this car very effectively right now, right in front of us.
Yeah, now here's the chance. Sebastian Lip. Oh, there's a tiny tightrope towards turn 1. He can't get that one on James Barry. He left racing room. 0.9 of a car's width out there. They fight behind. George Gonzaga now sees Myron and Yanni here, who is now having to defend. This is with Rudolf Nagel, Paki Caruso, Felix Chamoz is on the back of this one. 4-car battle then on the bottom of your screen. On the top, your top 3 going at it for the race lead. If they're not careful, these 3 at the front, they could allow Jack Veazey in 4th.
Yeah, they really could. And that squeeze up against the wall. You talked about some of the historic fights that have taken place here at Suzuka. I had a little flashback. I think it was Sebastian Vettel squeezing a competitor up against that pit wall going down that long straightaway into turn 1 here at Suzuka. And you saw Barry put the screws to Lip right now. So the gloves are off. If they are on comms, those comms are quiet, because the fight is on and Valero is involved.
Yeah, they had almost a flare of Senna Prost 91 about it, the line there. The only difference is that Sebastian lifts when Ayrton Senna doesn't. Round the outside of Spoon, part 1, part 2, you're not going to get there, it's off camber. So they are really chucking it against each other. These are 2 drivers who know no quarter. And do you note there for Sebastian Lip, the Michael Schumacher helmet, as he moves to the outside, looks to do the move that Fernando Alonso did on Michael Schumacher in 2005. What a pass!
Yeah, gets it done. We saw Ivani do it later. It cost him some tires. It cost him some grip and cost him his exit right here. Let's see if Lip does a little better. And it looks like he does. He gets a good drive out of that final chicane and already has a 3/10 gap back to Barry. Now Barry not only has a teammate in front of him, he's got Valero behind him and very, very close down the stretch. 4 laps remaining.
they're just going to have to work out where they want to be. I think Gale's very happy to sit back there and try and gain the places with maybe 3 or even 2 laps to go here in this race. I think that's going to be the big ideal that they will sit with at this moment in time, chasing each other now to the Gyakubank corner and over towards Nipo. A few changes going on further down the order. Shimoz and Caruso see now that Avani and Otto have caught up in terms of their race, so that chase is going to be on a group of 4 as Nagel and Ayani are fighting in front of them. That could so very easily be a group of 6 by the time lap 13 rolls around.
Yeah, and Valero is looking so good right here, Jake, with as time ticking down. And I'll tell you, I know that you've called a lot of races here at Suzuka. I've called a lot too, and I've seen more than one race out here end with a twofer on the last lap. You got to think that that is in the back of Valero's mind here.
It very much is. There was contact going through the Nippo corner between Avani and Caruso, and that's left Brian Otto with a chance off the exit. Gets dry where there's none for Caruso. Good pass by Ryan Otto. He goes on through and continues to jump up his order. And once more, now you start looking at James Barry. If he can't keep the pace here of Sebastian Lip, Gale Valero is going to go full Gale force and move on through and try and gain that place. He can't get the run here through 130R. Suddenly, Sebastian Lip, I think, has got the afterburners on here. He's given himself about a good half a second.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, these drivers have pretty kind conditions out here. Oh my goodness, there's a little tap there. That is Nagel and Ianni touching in 130R. Holy cow. It's amazing that that one didn't end in tragedy. It looks like Ianni is going to have the inside line, though, coming down the pit straight. And here we go. There is the move for P2.
Gale Valero couldn't sit back and wait any longer. He can't let Sebastian Lip run away. He's got to chase him down. And so it's his responsibility to do so through the S's. Good pass, and now how does he hold himself in that regard? Kjetil Larsen to the inside through the S's now, and is trying to fight with George Gonzaga. 3 S's side by side. The Gyakubank's normally the decider, and for Kjetil Larsen, he'll get it on George Gonzaga. Great pass. Rafa Blanco with the best seat in the house to it.
Yeah, some great fighting going on up and down this grid as we see week in and week out. And Sebastian Lip right now has absolutely lit the wick. He's turned in a 153.309, making him the fastest man on the track. He's even got about 2,500 on Valero, who himself is no slouch. You mentioned his I rating. He's north of 9K out here as Valero. And Valero running out of time here to close that gap.
Gale Valero at 9,500 I rating. He represents the top 1% of all sim racers. He represents a very elite club. You can only say there are less than 100 who are finding themselves in the 10K club, and most of them will be racing tomorrow in the iRacing Sebring 12 hour. But for the moment, Gale Valero is trying to get himself a win to get by Sebastian Lip, prove that he can do it in a Radical, he can do it in any car he sets his mind to right now. Bottom of your screen is Larsen and Gonzaga and Blanco, and they'll only have a couple popsicle sticks out of the window to finish this one off. 2 laps to go here at Suzuka.
Yeah, and it's great to see George Gonzaga running up there toward the pointy end of the field, almost in the top 5. And George, a longtime leader of the Radical community here, a very tight community. They set their own schedule, hang out together, practice together, help make each other faster. And oh, by the way, Gonzaga peeks outside, then inside into turn 1. Can't make anything happen there, but you know that he had Larsen's attention there.
Yeah, that is the dummy there to the outside, and then I'll get you down the inside where you're not looking. That was a good attempt at it, but ultimately, the only issue with turn 1 as a corner to try and do that, JR, you don't really brake that much there. And a heavier braking zone, maybe where you're going down a couple gears, it's so much more effective.
Yeah, long trail braking corner there into the first sequence, 1, 2, and 3. And those sudden moves like that make your tire temperature spike, cost you grip. And when you have Rafa Blanco right behind you, you need all the grip that you can get with 2 laps left.
You definitely do. You're already down to a lap and a half. Blanco trying to move the number 13 Visit Uruguay RT car up to 6th position to go up +4 in this race. There's only one driver who's +4 at the moment in running, and that is Myron Yanni at this stage, who is 12th up to 8th place. Blanco following on here through Spoon and now trying to set it up.
Yeah, Blanco will have a good run here. Pretty good exit out of Spoon. And then he has to decide what he's going to do. And Gonzaga has to decide what he's going to do. Will he cover the inside? We've seen a couple of successful outside moves here. And the word may be getting out that inside defense is a non-starter here. And Blanco hanging on. He's going to have another run here down the pit straight, maybe biding his time. You don't want to pass on the second to last lap just to get past at the end.
Last lap then for Lip and Valero at the front as we focus here for the moment. They're on the bottom of your screen. Valero doesn't get the chance into turn 1. They've dropped James Barry. This is mano a mano. It's hand-to-hand combat between Sebastian Lip and Gale Valero. Rafa Blanco couldn't quite find his move, but now it's about finding the 130R pass out there. This entire lap is full setup for the Frenchman, and Sebastian Lip, the German that sits in front of him, he has been a maestro when it comes to this car, as well as his brother Christoph. But Sebastian knows this season Christoph's not running this, but he is, and he's using all of that experience at the best that he possibly can, working out of Degner 2, and now climbing the rise up to the Nissan brake hairpin here in Mie Prefecture, Japan. It's a look for Valero now to try and exacerbate every corner he can. 0.4 of a second. The margin now on the run towards Spoon. Blanco and Gonzaga go side by side. Right now at the bottom of your screen, Gonzaga holds his ground against Rafa Blanco. Kjetil Larsen has got away for fifth. Now through Spoon, Valero is looking for the drive. He's at 1/4 of a second right now. He'll have a great chance on the final lap of this race. How are you going to shake him off, Seb? How are you going to stop Mr. 9.5K? Gale Valero looking for the line now. It will have to be the outside at 130R. He drives it around the outside, runs off the road, and now there's going to be door-to-door as they head into the final chicane. It's going to be Valero down the inside. Gale Force is going to prevail. Gale Valero puts one over on Sebastian Lip and wins at Suzuka.
What a fantastic move. And you called it. That whole lap came down to that moment, and those spectators at 130R were on their feet as those radicals approached them at extremely high velocity side by side. Let's take another look.
Well, this is actually what's been going on then as a pass. Look, he tried to push through. It's a little naughty. He runs out wide there on the outside. It is the last lap, though. He gives a tiny bit of contact, but it's clean from them. It's just a little bit of racing. He gets to the inside. It's brilliant. Rafa Blanco does exactly the same thing as he made the pass around 130R to get by Jorge Gonzaga. Simply magical racing here, and the car craft goes right up to the highest echelon when you see radical racing like this here on iRacing. Confirmation of result by 0.2. The end, Gale Valero gets the job done over Sebastian Lip. James Barry will finish a distant third with Jack Veazey in fourth. Then it's Kjetil Larsen for IGL Coatings and Sander Traffic Scholar. He's there fifth with Rafa Blanco sixth, and Jorge Gonzaga finishing off in seventh. He'll have Myron Yanni, his teammate, behind him in eighth, as Peter Avani, who started this race from second, would get his recovery back to ninth. Rudolf Nagel would round out your top 10. In 11th, an up, down and all-around day for Ryan Otto, as he will have Heinz Braun and Felix Chameau's 12th and 13th. Paki Caruso will finish 14th. 15th will belong in the pocket of Chris Vett, and then Erle Gulliksen then down in 16th position. That was all that could be mustered at that point in time for him. But a fantastic day's worth of racing there, JR, at Suzuka. It proved to be all about how they placed each other in, and Inert can look at that race and say, if only we didn't fight so hard, Gale would have been straight out the back.
Boy, I'll tell you what, and there were a couple dubious moments there early as you saw Lip and Barry fighting each other in the Spoon, blowing their whole entry and exit out of the Spoon complex, letting Valero back in it and costing them grip. Barry's tires obviously went off as the front duo dropped him by almost 2 seconds toward the end. So some questionable fighting amongst the inert teammates early on handed Valero this one.
Well, let's go chat to them, shall we? Because James Barry is here. He finished third position overall in this race. James, I think both you and Sebastian can take a good look at that race and realise you gave a massive opportunity to Gale with the way that you were battling. It was great battling, don't get me wrong, but do you feel that it was the right time to do that in the middle of the race when you had a chance to drop a driver of his calibre?
Well, if you're assuming that I'm trying to work together with Sebastian, then yeah. But to be honest, I was just out for myself in that race. You know, I do see Sebastian as a rival in this championship more so than a guy who turns up for the first time. And I messaged him after the race, and he said it's a fun car, but he's not sure he'll come by again. So, I was just trying to do what I can to win that race because I knew my best chance is probably to stay in front rather than letting them get ahead because they're too quick for me, to be honest. Just a couple of places on the lap where they're just doing things that I'm not doing. So I knew if I fall behind, I might not be able to keep up. So I just did everything that I could to stay in the lead, and it didn't work out, but it is what it is.
It's still solid points for you, and obviously when you're looking around at it and your teammates are rivals, you do have to do everything you possibly can to get a result. This early on in the season, picking up the consistent results, is that what you're eyeing up, or do you feel like there's race-winning potential at every round you pick up?
It just depends. I mean, today I didn't expect to be fighting at the front, and yeah, in theory I had a chance to win the race. I led many laps, so... But ultimately, whenever you see like a 5,000 SOF, then you know that even for P2, P3, it's still worth picking up the points. So yeah, for sure, looking at the long term as well. And yeah, trying to give everything I can to have a good championship run.
Let's talk next week, because Sonoma is going to be the next round of the championship. A very technical circuit, very hilly, lots of elevation change. Do you think that's going to be a circuit that catches a lot of drivers out just because you've got a car that's so light and so susceptible to what that circuit brings in terms of its uniqueness?
To be honest, I've never driven it. I don't even know if I'll be on the grid next week. I mean, I've just been having PC issues all week, so I was really happy to be able to get on the grid today. So I really can't tell you about Sonoma. I've never driven it, so let's see.
Well, not a problem at all. Just glad to see you racing out there, James, and a great race that you had today. P3 overall is the end result. And let's talk, JR, about Sonoma in 7 days' time, the third round of the championship, which will be running on through. And that is going to be a track that pretty much will separate wheat from chaff.
Sonoma, absolutely fantastic, and it is going to separate the drivers who put the time in to learn that very complicated circuit. And Sonoma Raceway on Sears Point in the Bay Area of California, often overshadowed by its more famous cousin down in the Monterey area, Laguna Seca, but it is every bit the racetrack. It is a gorgeous facility, and man, you are too right about, imagine these radicals coming up turn 2 and taking that right-hander at the top of the hill as the car lightens up right across the apex, right when you're wanting to put the power down. You have to do that 2 times back-to-back. And, if the folks who don't really grind out the practice time to shave off the tents out there are going to have a hard time at Sonoma.
Yeah, you can only catch it with us on RaceSpotTV and with iRacing as well. Brilliant racing then from the series that always seems to find a way to deliver. We had thrills, we had spills, we had automobiles, proving that there were amazing racing actions to be had at every single chance that could be had. The chance came down to Sebastian Lip versus a driver of world-class caliber in sim racing, and he's a driver who found out that you've got talent, you may as well go and use it. Nobody had the way today to stop Gale Force.